Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour and watched the alien world grow larger on the main screen. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. This was it. The first time humans would meet aliens face to face. "Commander, we're getting a signal from the planet," said Dr. Amy Torres from her station. She was the best language expert Earth had, and she had been working for months to understand the alien words. "They're asking us to land at the main city." Jake nodded. "Take us down, pilot." The ship moved through the clouds, and soon they could see the alien city below. It was nothing like any human city. Tall towers made of crystal reached up into the sky, glowing with soft blue light. The buildings seemed to grow from the ground like trees, but they were perfectly smooth and clear. "Amazing," whispered Dr. Ryan Clark, the team's science expert. He was studying everything through his instruments. "The whole city is alive somehow. The crystals are growing and changing as we watch." Lieutenant Sam Parker, their security chief, checked his weapon one more time. "Remember, we don't know what these aliens want. Stay ready for anything." Jake looked at his small team. 4 humans, in a ship, about to meet an empire that ruled hundreds of worlds. The Zephyrians had been talking to Earth through radio signals for 6 months. They seemed friendly, but they also made it clear that humans were just curious little creatures. To them, the landing pad was huge, made of the same glowing crystal as everything else. As soon as they touched down, Jake could see hundreds of aliens waiting for them. Most were not Zephyrians. There were tall beings that looked like walking trees, small creatures covered in fur, and things that Jake could not even describe. "The welcoming committee is quite large," Amy said, looking nervous. "That's good," Jake replied, trying to sound confident. "It means they think we're important." They put on their special suits and walked down the ramp. The air outside was breathable, but it smelled different, sweet, like flowers, but with something else Jake could not name. A group of aliens approached them. The leader was clearly a Zephyrian. It was tall, maybe 8 feet, and its body was made of living crystal that changed color as it moved. Where a human would have eyes, it had several bright points of light. "Welcome, humans," the Zephyrian said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Kraytal. The Queen is very excited to meet you." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Commander Jake Miller. This is Dr. Torres, Dr. Clark, and Lieutenant Parker. We're honored to be here." "The honor is ours," Kraytal replied. "You are the first species in 1,000 years to develop faster than light travel on your own. Most impressive." They walked through the Crystal City. Other aliens stopped to stare at the humans. Some seemed curious. Others looked bored. A few appeared, almost hostile. "Don't mind them," Kraytal said, noticing Jake's worried look. "Many species here are much older than yours. They remember when new species would come and go quickly. They think humans might be the same." "And what do you think?" Jake asked. "I think you might surprise them," the ambassador replied with what might have been a smile. The palace was enormous. The walls rose so high that Jake could not see the top. Everything was made of crystal, but each room was a different color. They passed through halls of green, blue, red, and colors that Jake had no names for. Other aliens filled the halls. Jake saw creatures with too many arms, beings that floated in the air, and animals that walked on 2 legs but had no faces. All of them watched the humans pass. "The Queen rules over 300 worlds," Kraytal explained as they walked. "She has been alive for over 5,000 years. She remembers when your son was younger." "That's hard to imagine," Amy said quietly. Many. Things about the galaxy are hard to imagine, Kratal agreed. But you will learn. They reached a massive door made of crystal so clear it was almost invisible. Jake could see into the throne room beyond. It was the largest space he had ever seen. Hundreds of aliens stood in perfect rows, all facing a raised platform at the far end. "The Queen will see you now," Kratal said. "Remember, she is very old and very wise. Show respect, but do not fear. She is curious about humans, not angry." The doors opened with no sound. Jake and his team walked into the throne room. Their footsteps echoed despite the crowd. Every alien in the room turned to watch them. At the far end, on a throne that seemed to be carved from a single massive diamond, sat the Queen. She was larger than the ambassador, and her crystal body held all colors at once, shifting and changing like a rainbow made solid. Queen Verathix rose from her throne as the humans approached. She was beautiful in a way that Jake had never seen before, not human beautiful, but something beyond that, like looking at a star up close. Jake led his team down the long path between the watching aliens. His mouth was dry, but he kept walking. This was the moment that would decide humanity's future among the stars. They stopped about 20 feet from the throne, as Kratal had instructed them. Jake took a deep breath and looked up at the Queen. The moment their eyes met, everything changed. Queen Verathix made a sound like breaking glass. Her rainbow colors went white, then completely clear. She stumbled backward, her hands reaching out as if she was falling. Then, to the shock of everyone in the room, the immortal queen of the Zephyrian Empire fell to her knees. The throne room went completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Jake stood frozen, not understanding what had happened. He had done nothing except look at the Queen. Why was she on the ground? Why was everyone staring at him like he had just performed magic? "Your Majesty," Kratal called out, his voice full of worry. The Queen raised her head and looked at Jake again. When she spoke, her voice shook. "It cannot be," she whispered. "After all these years, he has returned." The Queen's words hung in the air like smoke. Jake felt hundreds of alien eyes staring at him, but he could not understand what was happening. He had never been to this world before. He had never met the Queen. So why was she acting like she knew him? "Your Majesty," Ambassador Kratal said carefully, "perhaps you should return to your throne. The humans are confused." Queen Verathix slowly stood up. Her crystal body was still clear, almost invisible. Jake could see right through her to the diamond throne behind. When she spoke again, her voice was stronger. "Leave us," she commanded. "All of you. I must speak with these humans alone." "But Your Majesty," Kratal started to protest. "Now." The word came out like thunder. The throne room emptied quickly. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filed out through side doors. Even Kratal bowed and left. Soon only Jake and his team remained. With the Queen, the massive doors closed with a sound like distant thunder. The Queen walked down from her platform until she stood directly in front of Jake. Up close, he could see that her crystal body was not solid. Light moved through it like water, and he could hear something like music coming from inside her. "You do not know me," she said. "It was not a question." "No, Your Majesty," Jake replied. "I've never been here before. None of us have." "But I know you." She walked around him slowly, studying him from every angle. "The face is exact. The height is right. Even the way you stand." She stopped in front of him again. "Tell me your name." "Jake Miller, Your Majesty," Commander Jake Miller of the Earth Space Force. Jake Miller, she repeated slowly. Not Marcus Kane. Jake felt a strange chill when she said that name. No, Your Majesty, I don't know anyone named Marcus Kane. The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Then she walked to a wall and touched it. The crystal became transparent, showing images like a movie screen. Dr. Torres, the Queen said, you study languages, yes? Amy stepped forward nervously. Yes, Your Majesty. I've been learning your language for months. Then you can read our old writing? Some of it, yes. Read this. The Queen touched the wall again, and new symbols appeared. Amy studied the writing carefully. It says, The Return of the Lost Heir. It's from something called the First Prophecy. Very good. What else? Amy read more. From the third world of the yellow star he shall come. Bearing the face of the first emperor, he shall wake the sleeping giants and unite the scattered children. She looked up, confused. I don't understand what it means. It means, the Queen said, that your arrival was predicted 12,000 years ago. Dr. Clark stepped forward. Your Majesty, with respect, that's impossible. Humans have only had space travel for a few hundred years. Have you? The Queen asked. Are you certain? She touched the wall again. This time, the image showed a star map. Jake recognized some of the stars, but there were lines connecting them that he had never seen before. This is your galaxy as it was 12,000 years ago, the Queen explained. The green lines show the territories of the Terran hegemony. Jake stared at the map. The green lines connected hundreds of star systems, including Earth's sun. Terran? He asked. That means from Earth? Yes. The Terran hegemony was the greatest empire this galaxy has ever known. They ruled over 1,000 worlds. Their technology was beyond anything we have today, and they were human. The room was silent except for the strange music that came from the Queen's body. Jake felt like the floor was moving under his feet. That's impossible, Sam said. We would know if humans had ruled the galaxy. Would you? The Queen showed them another image. This one was of a man in strange armor, standing on what looked like the bridge of a huge starship. This is Emperor Marcus Kane, the last ruler of the Terran hegemony. Jake felt his knees go weak. The man in the image looked exactly like him. The same face, the same height, even the same way of standing. It was like looking in a mirror. How? Jake whispered. I do not know, the Queen admitted. But 12,000 years ago, the entire Terran hegemony vanished in a single night. Every human, every ship, every city, gone. Only this prophecy remained, carved into our most sacred crystals. Amy was still reading the symbols on the wall. There's more here. It says the lost heir will come when the galaxy faces its greatest danger. He will wake the sleeping giants and prepare for the return of the void. The void? Dr. Clark asked. The Queen's crystal body turned dark red. Something that should never return. Something that almost destroyed everything long ago. Jake was still staring at the image of Marcus Kane. Why do I look like him? What does this mean? I have spent 5,000 years wondering the same thing, the Queen said. I was young when the humans ruled. My people served the hegemony faithfully. We were proud to be part of their empire. Served? Sam asked. Yes. The Zephyrians were not always rulers. We were librarians, record keepers, guardians of knowledge. The humans trusted us with their most important secrets. She touched the wall again, and the image changed to show crystal beings working alongside humans. When they vanished, we became the caretakers of their empty worlds. For 12,000 years? Jake asked. We promised we would wait for their return. Most of the galaxy forgot about the humans. New empires rose and fell. But we remembered. We kept the promise. Dr. Clark was scanning the room with his instruments. Commander, I'm reading some very strange energy signatures. It's like the walls are alive. They are, the Queen said. These crystals remember everything. They can show you the day the humans vanished if you wish to see. Show us, Jake said. The Queen touched the wall with both hands. The crystal went completely black, then began to show images like a movie. They saw human cities full of flying cars and buildings that reached into space. Ships larger than Earth's biggest space stations moved between the stars. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The ships froze in space. The cities went dark. In the space of a single heartbeat, every human in the galaxy simply disappeared. Where did they go? Amy asked. No one knows. Our greatest scientists have studied this mystery for thousands of years. Some think they were destroyed. Others believe they escaped to another galaxy. But the prophecy says they would return. Jake was still staring at the images. Something about them felt familiar, like memories from a dream he could not quite remember. Your Majesty, he said slowly. What happens now? Now we must discover why you are here. The prophecy speaks of sleeping giants and great danger. If you are truly the lost heir, then something terrible is coming. As if her words had triggered something, alarms began to sound throughout the palace. The crystal walls flashed red, and Jake could hear distant explosions. What's happening? Sam demanded, reaching for his weapon. The Queen's body blazed with bright light. It has already begun. The old enemies are moving. Word of your arrival has spread, and those who do not want the humans to return are taking action. More explosions. Closer now. Through the transparent walls, Jake could see alien ships fighting in the sky above the city. Who's attacking? He asked. Those who have grown powerful in humanity's absence. They fear what your return might mean. The Queen moved to another wall and began touching symbols rapidly. We must get you to safety. If you die now, the prophecy dies with you. Wait, Jake said. I'm just one man. I'm not some lost emperor. I don't even understand what's happening. The Queen turned to face him. Her crystal body was blazing so brightly that Jake had to squint to look at her. Understanding will come, she said. But first, you must survive. The galaxy's future depends on it. The explosions were getting louder. Jake could feel the crystal palace shaking under his feet. Through the clear walls, he watched alien warships firing at each other in the sky above the city. This way, Queen Verathix commanded, leading them toward a hidden door. My personal guards will protect us while we escape. Escape where? Jake asked, following her down a narrow crystal hallway. To the sacred vault. It is the safest place on this world, and it contains something you need to see. Dr. Clark was still scanning with his instruments as they ran. Commander, I'm getting readings from space. Earth is sending signals. What kind of signals? Jake asked. I don't know. They're not coming from any known transmitters. The Queen stopped suddenly. It has begun sooner than I expected. The sleeping giants are waking. They reached a room filled with Zephyrian guards. These aliens looked different from the ones Jake had seen before. Their crystal bodies were darker, and they carried weapons that hummed with energy. Captain Thexavor, the Queen said to their leader, What is the situation? Your Majesty, the Corvin Syndicate has launched a surprise attack. 12 fleets, all targeting the humans. They want to destroy them before they can leave this world. And our defenses. We are fighting, but the Corvins brought everything they have. They are serious about this. Jake felt a cold weight in his stomach. They're attacking because of us? Yes, the Queen said simply. There are many species in this galaxy who do not want humans to return to power. The Corvins are the strongest of them. Lieutenant Parker checked his weapon. How many ships do they have? The Corvin Syndicate controls 40 star systems, Captain Thexavor replied. Their fleets number in the thousands. And Earth? Jake asked. Are they attacking Earth too? We do not know yet. Dr. Torres was listening to her communication device. Commander, I'm getting a message from Admiral Hayes on Earth. She says things are happening there too. What kind of things? Ancient installations are turning on. Buried facilities that no one knew existed. They're sending signals into space. Queen Virathix made a sound like singing crystal. The Terran Defense Network. I thought it was only a legend. What's the Terran Defense Network? Dr. Clark asked. According to our oldest records, the humans built hidden bases throughout their territory. When they vanished, the bases went to sleep, but they were supposed to wake up if humanity ever returned. Another explosion shook the palace. Captain Thexavor spoke into his communicator in rapid Zephyrian. Your Majesty, he said, we must go now. The Corvins have broken through our outer defenses. They ran through more crystal corridors. Jake could hear weapons fire getting closer. The beautiful palace was becoming a battlefield. Dr. Torres, Jake said as they ran. Can you contact Earth again? I'll try. She worked with her device while running. Admiral Hayes, this is Dr. Torres. We need to know what's happening there. The Admiral's voice came through clearly despite the distance. Dr. Torres, thank God. We have a situation here. Ancient facilities are coming online all over Earth. And not just Earth. We're getting signals from Mars, Europa, even from empty space where there should be nothing. What kind of facilities? Jake asked. Military, we think. But the technology is far beyond anything we have. Some of these installations are under our biggest cities. We never knew they were there. Queen Virathix led them down a spiral staircase that seemed to go deep into the planet's core. Your species did not vanish completely, she said. They left guardians behind, hidden watchers who would wake when the time was right. Guardians. Jake felt that strange chill again. The records speak of human volunteers who stayed behind in special chambers. They were supposed to sleep until the lost heir returned. They reached the bottom of the staircase. Before them stood a massive door made of metal instead of crystal. Strange symbols covered its surface, and Jake felt drawn to look at them closely. Can you read these symbols? Queen Virathix asked. Jake stared at the writing. He had never seen it before, but somehow it made sense to him. It says, For Marcus Kane, Emperor of Terra, when the stars align again. Dr. Clark's instruments were going crazy. Commander, the energy readings here are off the charts. Whatever's behind that, door has been powered for thousands of years. The Queen placed her hand on a crystal panel next to the door. I have guarded this vault for my entire life. Only the lost heir can open it. But I don't know how, Jake protested. Touch the door. Jake hesitated, then placed his hand on the metal surface. The moment his skin made contact, the symbols began to glow. The massive door split open with a sound like thunder. Beyond was a room that took Jake's breath away. It was enormous, filled with floating displays and strange machines. But what caught his attention were the 12 glass tubes standing in the center of the room. Sleep chambers, Queen Verathix explained. They have been waiting here for 12,000 years. Jake walked closer to the tubes. Inside each one was a human being, perfectly preserved, surrounded by glowing mist. Men and women in strange uniforms, sleeping peacefully. "Who are they?" Amy whispered. "The last council of the Terran hegemony," the Queen replied. "Your Emperor's most trusted advisors. They volunteered to sleep until his return." One of the tubes was different from the others. It was larger, and the person inside wore golden armor. Jake approached it slowly, feeling his heart beat faster with each step. The nameplate on the tube read, "General Lisa Kane, Supreme Commander of Terran Forces." "Kane," Jake said. "Like Marcus Kane." His sister, the Queen confirmed. She refused to leave when the others vanished. She said someone had to stay and wait for her brother's return. Dr. Clark was studying the sleeping chamber. "The technology here is incredible. These people are not just sleeping. They're held in some kind of time stasis. They haven't aged a day in 12,000 years. "Can we wake them?" Jake asked. "The chambers will open automatically when they detect the lost heir's presence. It should happen soon." As if responding to her words, the tubes began to hum. The mist inside them started to clear, and the sleeping figures began to stir. Admiral Hayes's voice crackled through the communicator again. "Dr. Torres, you need to know. The installations on Earth are powering up weapons, massive weapons built into the planet itself. And we're getting similar readings from Mars and the Moon." "Weapons?" Jake asked. "Commander," Dr. Clark said urgently, "the Corvin attack might be exactly what Earth's defenses were designed to stop." The first sleep chamber opened with a soft hiss. The woman inside, General Lisa Kane, opened her eyes and sat up slowly. She looked around the room, confused. Then her gaze fell on Jake. Her eyes went wide. "Marcus?" she whispered. "No," Jake said quickly. "I'm Jake Miller. I look like him." Lisa Kane climbed out of the chamber, moving carefully. She was tall and strong, with short brown hair and intelligent eyes. "You look exactly like him. But you're not him, are you?" "I don't think so." More chambers were opening. The other sleeping humans were waking up, all of them staring at Jake with the same shocked expression. "General Kane," Queen Verathix said, bowing deeply, "the galaxy has need of the Terran hegemony again." Lisa looked around the room, taking in the Queen's words and the sound of distant weapons fire. "How long have we been asleep?" 12,000 years. Lisa was quiet for a moment, processing this information. Then she turned to Jake. "Whether you're my brother or not, you carry his face. That means something. The Terran Defense Network will respond to you." "I don't understand any of this," Jake said. "You will," Lisa replied grimly. "Because if we're awake, it means the galaxy is in terrible danger, the same danger that forced us to scatter humanity across time in the first place." Captain Thexavor's voice came through the Queen's communicator. "Your Majesty, the Corvins have reached the palace. We cannot hold them much longer." Lisa Kane looked at the weapons on the wall of the vault. "Then it's time to remind the galaxy why the Terran hegemony ruled the stars." General Lisa Kane moved with the confidence of someone who had commanded armies. She walked to a control panel and placed her hand on it. The entire vault lit up with displays and information. "The Terran Defense Network is fully active," she announced, reading the data. All installations across human space are responding. Earth, Mars, Luna, and 17 hidden outposts. Hidden outposts? Dr. Clark asked. We built them in secret just in case, Lisa explained. Weapons platforms disguised as asteroids, battle stations hidden in empty space. The Corvin Syndicate has no idea what they're facing. Jake was still trying to understand everything. General Kane, why do I look like your brother? Why do I have these memories that aren't mine? Lisa studied his face carefully. Because you are him, in a way. Before he scattered humanity across time, Marcus encoded himself into our genetic line. He made sure he would be reborn when the galaxy needed him most. But I'm not him. I don't have his memories. Not yet, said another voice. Dr. Carl Bennett, one of the awakened council members, approached them. The encoding is complex. Your memories will return gradually as you accept who you really are. The sound of weapons fire was getting very close now. Captain Thexvor's voice came through the Queen's communicator again. Your Majesty, the Corvins have entered the palace. We need to evacuate now. No, Lisa Kane said firmly. We make our stand here. This vault can withstand anything they have. She turned to Jake. But first, you need to fully wake up. The galaxy needs Marcus Kane, not Jake Miller. I don't know how, Jake said. Close your eyes, Dr. Bennett instructed. Stop fighting the memories. Let them come. Jake closed his eyes and tried to relax. Immediately, images flooded his mind. He saw himself standing on the bridge of a massive starship, giving orders to a crew of humans and aliens. He remembered signing treaties with a dozen species, building the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. But then came darker memories. A threat from beyond the galaxy, something that consumed entire star systems. Ships and planets simply vanishing into nothingness. The void, Jake whispered, opening his eyes. It's real. It came from between the galaxies, eating everything in its path. Yes, Lisa said. We barely stopped it the first time. It cost us everything. How? Marcus made the ultimate sacrifice. He used a time weapon to scatter humanity across the centuries, hiding us from the void senses. But in doing so, he broke the Empire and erased our history. More memories came flooding back. Jake remembered the decision to save the galaxy by destroying the Terran hegemony. He remembered saying goodbye to Lisa, knowing he might never see her again. I remember, he said quietly. I remember all of it. Queen Verithix was monitoring the battle above. The Corvin fleets are being destroyed, she announced with surprise. Earth's hidden weapons are firing across the galaxy. Dr. Torres contacted Admiral Hayes again. Admiral, what's happening up there? Dr. Torres, it's incredible. Weapons we never knew existed are firing from Earth's moon. They're hitting Corvin ships thousands of light years away, instantly. The technology is beyond our understanding. Lisa smiled grimly. Quantum targeting systems. We can hit any point in the galaxy from any other point. Distance means nothing. Dr. Clark was studying the displays. The Corvin fleets are retreating, but they're sending a message to all their allies. They're calling for a full galactic war against humanity. Let them come, Jake said, and for the first time his voice carried the authority of Emperor Marcus Kane. The Terran Defense Network is fully operational. We can defend every human world simultaneously. But Dr. Bennett looked worried. Marcus, there's something else. The reason we scattered humanity wasn't just to hide from the void. It was to prevent the void from finding Earth through the quantum network. What do you mean? By activating the network, we're sending signals across the galaxy. The same kind of signals that drew the void here the first time. The vault suddenly went quiet except for the humming of machines. Everyone stared at Dr. Bennett. "Are you saying the void might return?" Amy asked. "I'm saying it's already returning," Bennett replied, pointing at one of the displays. "Look!" The screen showed the edge of the galaxy where the stars ended and empty space began. But the space wasn't empty anymore. Something was moving there, something huge and dark. "It's been waiting," Lisa said quietly. "Waiting for us to turn the network back on." Jake felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. "So by trying to defend humanity, I've doomed the galaxy?" "Not doomed," Queen Verathix said, "but challenged. The prophecy speaks of this moment. The lost heir will face the ultimate test." Captain Thexvor entered the vault with his guards. "Your Majesty, the Corvins have retreated, but our sensors are detecting something else, something massive approaching from deep space." "The void," Jake said. "How long do we have?" "At current speed, 3 days until it reaches the outer systems." Lisa was already working at the control panels. "We need to evacuate the civilian populations and prepare every defense we have. But first, we need to contact all the major species and warn them." "Will they listen?" Dr. Torres asked. "They'll have to," Jake replied. "The void doesn't care about politics or territory. It consumes everything." Queen Verathix activated her royal communicator. "I am calling an emergency session of the Galactic Council. All species must hear this." Within an hour, representatives from across the galaxy were connected through quantum communication. Jake found himself addressing the same aliens who had looked down on humanity just days before. "The void has returned," he announced. "We have 3 days to prepare." War Commander Thekvar of the Corvin Syndicate appeared on the screen. "This is a human trick. There is no void." "Then explain the massive energy signature approaching from beyond the galaxy," Lisa Kane said, sharing the sensor data. The various alien leaders studied the information. One by one, their expressions changed from skepticism to fear. "What do you propose?" asked Ambassador Cray Tall. "Complete cooperation," Jake replied. "Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. We unite or we all die." "And why should we trust humans?" Thekvar demanded. "You disappeared for 12,000 years and left us to govern ourselves." "Because," Jake said, letting his voice carry all the authority of his past life, "we disappeared to save all of you. The void was drawn to our empire's power. We scattered ourselves across time to break that connection. Now it's back, and only together can we stop it." Dr. Bennett brought up another display. "The void isn't just one entity. It's millions of beings all connected in a hive mind. They consume life energy itself." "How do we fight something like that?" asked the representative from the Altarian Republic. "The same way we did before," Jake answered. "With the combined strength of every living species in the galaxy." Queen Verathix stood beside him. "The Zephyrian Empire pledges its full support to the lost heir." One by one, other species added their agreement. Even Thekvar, after a long pause, nodded grimly. "The Corvin Syndicate will fight," he said. "But this does not make us allies beyond this threat." "Understood," Jake replied. As the communications ended, Lisa turned to her brother. "You realize what this means? If we fail, everything dies. But if we succeed using the old weapons, the galaxy will know that humanity can destroy them all." "I know," Jake said. "Either way, Everything changes. Dr. Torres received another message from Earth. Admiral Hayes reports that the sleeping installations aren't just weapons. Some of them are shipyards. They're building a fleet. The Terran Navy, Lisa said with satisfaction. Marcus designed them to construct ships automatically when the Empire was threatened. Jake looked around the vault at his awakened council, at Queen Verathix, at his small team from Earth. Then we have our plan. We rebuild the Terran hegemony, unite the galaxy, and face the void together. And if the galaxy turns on humanity after the threat is over? Dr. Clark asked. Jake thought about this for a moment. Then we'll face that challenge when it comes. But first, we save everyone. The displays around them showed ships moving across the galaxy, weapons charging, and species that had been enemies for centuries working together. In 3 days, they would face the ultimate test. The void was coming, and the galaxy's only hope was a reborn emperor who still felt like Jake Miller inside. The final battle began at the edge of the galaxy, where the last stars met the endless dark. Jake stood on the bridge of the TSS Redemption, the flagship of humanity's reborn fleet. Through the view screen, he could see the void approaching like a living shadow. All fleets report ready, General Lisa Kane announced from her command station. 2,000 ships from 47 species. Jake nodded, but his attention was focused on the enemy. The void was not what he had expected. Instead of ships or creatures, it was pure darkness that moved like liquid. When it touched a star, the star simply disappeared. How do we fight something that can erase matter itself? Dr. Torres asked from her position at the communications station. By not fighting it directly, Jake replied. We learned last time that conventional weapons are useless. We need to strike at its source. Dr. Bennett was studying the sensor readings. The void creatures are controlled by a central intelligence. If we can find it and destroy it, the rest should collapse. But where is it? Queen Verathix asked. She had insisted on joining the battle aboard the human flagship. There, Jake said, pointing at the center of the dark mass. The deepest part of the shadow. That's where the Void Queen waits. Admiral Hayes's voice came through from Earth. All defense stations are charged and ready. The quantum targeting system is locked onto the Void's approach vector. Hold fire until my signal, Jake ordered. We need to get closer. The combined fleet moved forward. Ships from dozens of worlds flew together. Elegant Zephyrian crystal vessels, massive Corvan battleships, sleek human cruisers rebuilt from ancient designs. It was the largest military force in galactic history. But as they approached the void, something terrible happened. The darkness began to speak. The voice came from everywhere at once, transmitted directly into their minds. It was cold and hungry and infinitely old. We remember you, Marcus Kane, the Void Queen said. You delayed us for a brief moment, but we are eternal. We have consumed 100 galaxies. Yours will be no different. We stopped you before, Jake replied, broadcasting his thoughts back to the entity. We can do it again. Can you? Look around, little Emperor. Your empire is gone. Your people are scattered. You have already lost everything. Jake felt doubt creeping into his mind. The voice was right. The Terran hegemony was destroyed. Humanity was weak and divided. How could they possibly win? Then he felt a hand on his shoulder. General Lisa Kane was standing beside him. Marcus, she said quietly, remember why we scattered humanity in the first place. Jake thought back to that terrible decision 12,000 years ago. They hadn't scattered humanity to hide. They had scattered humanity to grow. Every world we seeded became stronger, he said, understanding flooding through him. Every century they survived made them more adaptable. Yes, Lisa smiled. We didn't weaken humanity. We made it impossible to destroy. Jake activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, all species, listen to me. The void feeds on organized energy, on empires and civilizations. That's why it came for us before. But now humanity is different. We're not one empire anymore. We're individuals, each one unique, each one free. War Commander Thekvar's voice crackled through, from the Corvan flagship. What are you saying, human? I'm saying the void can consume order, but it cannot consume chaos, cannot consume freedom, cannot consume the choice to fight even when fighting seems hopeless. The Void Queen's laughter echoed through their minds. Pretty words, but you still die the same. The darkness surged forward, and the first wave of void creatures became visible. They were nightmare shapes that hurt to look at, beings of pure hunger and emptiness. All ships, attack pattern chaos, Jake ordered. No formation, no coordination. Every ship fights its own battle. The galactic fleet scattered and dove into the void swarm. Instead of fighting as one organized force, they fought as thousands of individual ships, each one making its own decisions. The result was beautiful and terrible. Void creatures that could adapt to any strategy found themselves facing no strategy at all. Every ship they encountered fought differently, but the battle was still being lost. There were too many void creatures, and they were learning too quickly. "Jake," Dr. Torres called out, "Admiral Hayes is requesting permission to fire the planetary defense grid." "Not yet," Jake replied. "We need to get to the Void Queen first." He piloted the Redemption directly into the heart of the darkness, followed by a small group of volunteers from every species. Queen Vera Thix's crystal ship flew beside them, its light cutting through the shadow. As they went deeper, the cold voice of the Void Queen grew stronger. "You cannot reach me, Marcus Kane. I am protected by 10,000 layers of void." "Maybe," Jake replied, "but I'm not trying to reach you with weapons." He activated a device that Dr. Bennett had built using ancient Terran technology. Instead of firing energy or matter, it projected something else entirely. Memory. The memories of every human who had ever lived began broadcasting into the void. Not just the memories of emperors and generals, but of ordinary people. Farmers and teachers, artists and engineers, children playing in parks, and elderly couples watching sunsets. "What are you doing?" the Void Queen shrieked. "Showing you what?" "You're trying to destroy," Jake replied. "Every life has value. Every person matters. That's what you can never understand." The void creatures around them began to slow, confused by the flood of human experience. They had never encountered anything like it before. "All ships," Jake broadcast, "share your memories. Show them what life means to your species." Across the fleet, aliens began transmitting their own experiences. The joy of a Zephyrian's first crystallization, the fierce pride of Corvan warriors, the ancient wisdom of the tree-like Silvari. The void creatures stopped attacking entirely, overwhelmed by the complexity of living experience. "Impossible!" the Void Queen raged. "Life is chaos. Life is suffering. We bring peace through emptiness." "Life is choice," Jake replied, "and we choose to live." He flew the Redemption directly at the center of the void, where the Queen waited. As they broke through the final layer of darkness, he could see her, a massive being of crystallized hunger, beautiful and terrible. "You would sacrifice yourself to stop me?" she asked. "If necessary," Jake replied, "but I don't think I have to." He activated the ship's final weapon, not a bomb or a beam, but a transmitter. It began broadcasting the one memory that mattered most. The memory of Marcus Kane's choice 12,000 years ago. The decision to give up absolute power to save the galaxy. The willingness to sacrifice everything for others. The Void Queen screamed as the memory hit her. For the first time in eons, she experienced something other than hunger. The concept of selfless love. I don't understand," she whispered. "That's because you've forgotten what it means to be alive," Jake said gently. "You've been empty for so long. You think emptiness is peace. But real peace comes from connection, from caring about others." The darkness around them began to change, becoming lighter, warmer. The void creatures were once alive, Queen Verathix realized. They were consumed so long ago they forgot what they used to be. Jake nodded. And now they remember. Across the battlefield, the void creatures stopped fighting and began to change. The darkness that had covered them fell away, revealing the species they had once been before the Void Queen consumed them. The Void Queen herself was changing too, her crystallized hunger melting away to reveal something that might once have been beautiful. "I remember," she said softly. "I remember having a name, having a home. What have I become?" "Something that can choose to be different," Jake replied. The great battle was over, not with destruction, but with understanding. The void creatures scattered across the galaxy, seeking to remember who they had been before the hunger took them. The Void Queen, no longer a queen of emptiness, departed for the space between galaxies to spend eternity trying to undo the damage she had caused. Jake stood on the bridge of the Redemption, watching the combined fleet celebrate their victory. But he felt a strange sadness. "What's wrong?" Lisa asked. "I'm not sure I'm still needed," Jake replied. Marcus Kane was born to fight the void. Now that it's over, now you get to choose who you want to be, Queen Verathix said. That's the gift of freedom. Jake thought about this. "I think I want to be Jake Miller again, a person who helps others, not an emperor who rules them." "The galaxy will still need guidance," Dr. Torres pointed out. "Then we'll give it guidance, not rule," Jake replied. "A council of equals, not an empire." In the months that followed, the Galactic Alliance was formed. Not an empire ruled by one species, but a partnership between all species. Jake Miller served as its first coordinator, but only for a 5-year term. The ancient Terran installations were converted from weapons to tools of exploration and learning. Humanity spread across the galaxy again, but as friends and partners, not as conquerors. And sometimes, late at night, Jake would remember being Marcus Kane. But those memories no longer felt like a burden. They felt like a gift. A reminder that even the most powerful person in the galaxy was just one individual among many. The alien queen who had fallen to her knees had risen again, not as a subject, but as an equal. And perhaps that was the greatest victory of all.